On today's show, Aaron Judge had a big weekend, I'll tell you why. Alek Manoah is running his mouth again. He brought up a Yankees pitcher, and we're going to talk about that, and how the Blue Jays seem to really want a rivalry with the Yankees. And the 2023 Hall of Fame ballot is out, and some former Yankees are on it. So get ready, because an all-new Locked On Yankees is next.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, Yankee fans. Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Stacey. I'd like to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms, including Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, and Stitcher. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Also hit the thumbs up button to like our videos and the bell so you're notified as soon as our videos go live. So, today was supposed to be about Big G and Gleyber Torres. We're putting that off until tomorrow because some things happened this weekend, and that's the beauty of the off season. You don't know when things are going to happen. Unfortunately, Aaron Judge isn't signed yet, but that's not going to happen for a while. But he did have a big weekend. His AllRise Foundation had their dinner, and I think it was like an award show too. Like they gave out awards to people, and some of his Yankee teammates were there. Some former Yankee teammates were there. Tyler Wade was there. And I will say there was a picture of Judge with Stanton, and DJ LeMahieu was there, and Wade. And I knew Jameson Taillon was tall, but I didn't realize how tall he was. I don't know why I forgot that he was one of those huge guys, because he was at the end of the picture, and I was like, wow, he's huge. So I didn't even realize how big he was. And I should, because it seems like so many of these starting pitchers are just giants now. And he's one of them. And apparently the Mets were looking into talking to him because he's a free agent. He's available. He can be talked to. So yeah, although the Yankees also requested DeGrom's medicals, but everyone's doing that because he is also available. So anything you can do, right, to get any sort of thing done in the offseason. Now, the other thing about Judge, okay, I didn't find this out till later in the day. He took a Peloton class on Saturday morning, and it's not a class I would have taken. It's a hard class. I'll tell you that right now. He took a 45-minute HIIT, high-intensity interval training, and hills class. I've done a 30-minute HIIT and hills class, and I was drenched in sweat when I was done with it. And I took it with one of the easier instructors, because when you're on a Peloton bike, you can choose your classes by difficulty. You can pick your classes by what the playlist is, what the actual class is. Like I said, he did high intensity training and hills, which is an intervals class. You have regular run-of-the-mill, an 80s class, a 90s class, stuff like that. You also have some of the hardest classes to take are power zone classes, because you keep yourself at a certain zone for a certain amount of time, and they're really long and hard to do. So this HIIT and hills class was not easy. I watched it on my computer because I wasn't feeling well yesterday. And I was like, let me see how he did in this class, just to see what was going on. And you could see him throughout the class because he was to the right of the instructor. It was Judge and his wife, Samantha, who seems to be on a first name basis with the Peloton instructors, which might be a good thing for Yankee fans because they don't have Peloton studios in San Francisco and in LA. So Sam's not going to be able to have the personal experience of being in a Peloton studio if Aaron Judge signs somewhere else. The other thing that was amazing to me is I know when I'm on my bike, I'm only 5'9". I'm not a giant, but I feel like one on a Peloton bike when I'm standing up and jogging on it and doing what you're supposed to do in a class. The man is 6'7". He looked tremendously huge on that bike. And it was hilarious watching him, but he did a great job. And what was even better was the camera, when it would show the instructor from her right side, you could see the numbers on his screen, because the in-studio bikes are not like the home bikes. Like on the home bike, obviously you have the instructor on your screen, you have the leaderboard on your screen, you have a whole bunch of stuff that you're looking at on your screen. When you're in the studio, the instructor's in front of you, so all you have are your numbers in front of you, and they're big, and I could see what he was doing. So at one point, and I was very impressed, he was sitting in the saddle, or on the seat, if you're not a spin person and you don't know what I'm talking about. His resistance was up to 57, and his cadence was around 95 to 100. I could not do that, okay? I have very bad knees, but they feel okay when I'm cycling, which is really odd. I don't understand why that, or how that works either. But the max resistance that I can do sitting in the saddle is 52. But I have to have my cadence, which is the speed of your legs, way slower than 95 to 100, which is what Judge was doing. So I was impressed with him. He got up every time the instructor told him to get up. Plus, he probably knew he was on camera. She gave him a shout out with about 20 minutes left in the 45-minute class. She actually shouted out his wife first and joked with her, you know, stop looking at your husband's numbers, because I guess Samantha was looking over at Aaron's bike. And then with 20 minutes left, she gave him a shout out. You know, we have a celebrity in the house, you know, and he won the American League MVP in baseball, and, you know, everyone gave him a big ovation. But I was just amazed that, you know, when I was looking at getting the bike, I was watching all these YouTube videos, you know, people doing DIY Peloton, where you don't buy an actual Peloton bike, but you get the app and you watch it on your iPad on a different type of spin bike. And I was looking into doing that. And then my brother got us a Peloton bike. So I have one in my house. We've had it for over a year. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love that thing. And when I was looking at all the YouTube videos, this one guy who tested out basically every spin bike on the market was 6'5", and he was saying how uncomfortable it is for him to be on any of these bikes. So for Aaron Judge to be on a Peloton bike at 6'7", I was impressed. But yeah, he looked huge, and the class is really hard, and I was just blown away by watching Aaron Judge in a Peloton class. That was the last thing I was expecting to see, because I didn't know it happened until I looked on Instagram, and one of the Peloton accounts that I follow had a picture of him, and I said, is that Judge? No way. And then I checked to see what class it was. And when I saw it was a 45-minute Hidden Hills, I was very impressed. And now I need to find out what his leaderboard name is, because I'm assuming that they probably have 2 Peloton bikes, I would assume. Some couples do that. They get 2 bikes. And he has enough money to get 2 bikes. My cousin has friends who are a couple, and she makes fun of them all the time because they have 2 Peloton bikes. Now, you know you have money if you have 2 Peloton bikes. So anyway, so that was Aaron Judge's weekend. He had his AllRise Foundation dinner, and then the next morning at 10 o'clock, he takes a 45-minute Hidden Hills class in the Peloton studios, and it is not an easy class, so good for you, Aaron Judge. And again, your wife's not going to be able to take Peloton classes live if you move somewhere else, so you might as well stay in New York. Just saying. So in a moment, we're going to talk about something that I saw on Twitter earlier that I just rolled my eyes at. And yeah, I mentioned it in the cold open. It's Alek Manoah opening his mouth again. But first, BetOnline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. So, Buffalo made it out of Buffalo. They weren't snowed in. I hope you didn't bet on the Jets. Woof, what a way to lose. What an awful, awful way to lose a football game. And then the Giants couldn't do anything against the Lions, but now you got next week to look forward to and all your betting to look forward to. Hey, and the Knicks are playing 3 games this week. I'm thinking they're going over 3, but don't take my word for it. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay. Well, first, wait, I have to address something. I haven't mentioned this, and I know you're all wondering. So Abby is no longer my co-host because she got a very cool job with the Daily News. She started covering the Mets very late in the season. She got to cover the playoffs, and now she has some time off. And as far as I know, I think she's in California relaxing with her family. So it was like not an acrimonious thing. It wasn't. She just got a really good job opportunity covering the Mets for the Daily News. So I want to thank her for, being here for nearly a year and helping me out and, dealing with me and my craziness. And I'm going to miss having Abby on the show and going back and forth with me and, kind of calming me down a little bit because I don't have that anymore. It's me by myself for now, and I don't have that person to bounce ideas off of. So just bear with me as I get back into this whole doing it by myself thing. So earlier on Twitter, John Boy and Talking Yankees put a co-tweet out because you can do that now. You can do tweets with a co-author, which I think is pretty cool. I have not done that yet. But Alek Manoah was on some sort of, I don't know what show it was. I really don't. But he says that Gerrit Cole is the biggest cheater in baseball history. Really? Bigger than all the steroids guys? Bigger than Pete Rose betting on baseball? Bigger than the Astros doing what they did in 2017? Really? Gerrit Cole's the biggest cheater in baseball? Between this and Vlad Jr. couple weeks ago saying how he would never come to the Yankees, these Blue Jays kids really want a rivalry with the Yankees. They are desperate for a rivalry with the Yankees. And you could tell by the way they were running their mouths at certain points, because I spoke about the whole Cole-Manoah thing that happened toward the end of the season. Then there was another incident with Manoah mouthing off to Severino, and, just the way Vlad reacted to walking off against the Yankees in that first game of the last series that they played, and then the next day the Yankees clinched the division in his house. I just think it's funny. I'm not angry with these guys for doing it because you understand that these guys kind of want a rivalry, because baseball's not like it was years ago. Like, there were guys on the Yankees who legitimately hated guys on the Red Sox, and vice versa, to the point where they wanted to beat each other's faces in. George Brett hated the Yankees. And I've said this many times. Growing up, my dad taught me to dislike the Royals and the Red Sox and the Dodgers to a point, but the Red Sox and the Royals, because the Yankees played them, they were in the American League. They played them in the playoffs. They were their rivals, late 70s into the early 80s. And that's who I grew up disliking. So baseball doesn't really have that. There aren't teams that hate each other. It's the fans that don't like each other. It's not the same. And even, the Red Sox and the Yankees in the 2000s, and with 2003 and 2004, and even in 99, and, stuff going on there. I guess Pedro was Pedro and Posada. I shouldn't say that. They didn't like each other. Yeah, they really didn't like each other. I kind of miss those days. Because, as I said, it's more the fans that don't like each other. It's not the players that really don't like each other. But I feel like Gerrit Cole is really not going to like this, which, of course, he's not going to like it. I'm sure he didn't appreciate Josh Donaldson opening his big mouth last year. And then, hey, Josh Donaldson's traded to the team that has the player that he mouthed off about. That's not uncomfortable. So, yeah, it feels like the Blue Jays want to have a very heated rivalry with the Yankees. They want Yankee fans to dislike them, and you're doing a bang up job, guys. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think it's funny, but there are going to be a lot of Yankee fans who don't appreciate this. And yeah, it's going to make for an interesting 2023. Although with the schedule changing and with the Yankees not playing the Blue Jays as much as they normally do, it's not going to be the same as a season in which they play them 19 times. Just in case you don't remember, the Yankees beat the Blue Jays 11-8 in that season series, and again, as I mentioned, won the division on the field at Rogers Center in late September. So, yeah, it's just funny. I was going to put a poll up on Twitter asking you guys who you thought the next Blue Jay was going to be to mouth off. I can't really think of another person. Maybe Bo Bichette? But I don't know. Because I don't think George Springer would. I don't think so. I think it's just those two. Manoah likes to talk trash. He really does. As I said, he had that tiff with Cole. And he had the tiff with Severino. And it was funny because he was mouthing off to Cole. And then as soon as Aaron Judge kind of stepped in, Manoah backed off a little bit. But then after the game, Manoah started mouthing off again in the safety of the opposing clubhouse at Yankee Stadium. And it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, you're a good pitcher, but you're still young and you still haven't proven yourself. Seattle did a nice job of shutting you up in the playoffs and kind of embarrassing you. I guess you want a young, brash person on your team, but you want them to be able to back that up. And coming out and saying that Gerrit Cole is the biggest cheater in baseball history is not going to help you at all. Yeah, I really wonder what Cole's reaction is going to be. I quote tweeted it with his reaction to the Josh Naylor rocking the baby home run, where he said, yeah, cute, or yeah, whatever, cute. Right? Is that the quote? So maybe that's what Cole's reaction is going to be. But what do you guys think about that? Do you miss the days of when players hated each other? Do you remember those days? Anyone else as old as I am remember those days? Actually, you don't even have to be that old. If you're in your 30s, you'll remember that the Yankees and Red Sox in the 2000s, basically because of Pedro, didn't really like each other. So, yeah, just let me know what you think about that because, yeah. I don't want it to get to the point where, brawls happen. Guys are thrown at, pitches are thrown and, I know Cole can't throw at Manoah because pitchers don't bat, but I don't know. I'm a little worried about that sort of thing blowing over, carrying over into 2023. But we'll see. I wonder if Cole will have a reaction to that, if someone will reach out to him and ask him what he thinks about that. But yeah, as soon as I saw it, I thought to myself, oh boy, here we go. It's like it's Thanksgiving weekend. Can't be weekend. Thanksgiving week. Can't we be nice? Oh, and by the way, there will be a show up on Thanksgiving. And I'm still tweaking my idea for what I want to do. I know it's going to be what we're thankful for, but I'm not sure what we're thankful for exactly. If it's going to be specific games, maybe some plays from the 2022 season. We'll see as we get closer to Thursday what I feel like doing. But it's definitely going to be a show about being thankful on Thanksgiving. It'll be on YouTube and for your ears on whichever app you're using to listen to me. So in a moment, the 2023 Hall of Fame ballot, the BBWAA ballot is out for the writers to vote on. And we're going to talk about who is on the ballot again, who is new, because there are a bunch of former Yankees there, and we'll talk about it in a moment. But first, did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for the third year in a row. It's whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and out, smarter ways to detect motion that alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. With the top-rated Simply Safe app, stay in control of your system anytime, anywhere. You can arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, and adjust your system settings, all on your phone. That's awesome. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system we recommend. Get 50% off any Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. There's no safe like Simply Safe. So the Hall of Fame ballot is out, and there are some interesting names, interesting first-time names on here. Carlos Beltran, former Yankee, former lots of things because he played for a lot of different teams. K-Rod and his 437 career saves. And other first-timers. Houston Street, Matt Cain, John Lackey, R.A. Dickey, Jared Weaver, Bronson Arroyo, Jacoby Ellsbury, Andre Ethier, Mike Napoli, Johnny Peralta, J.J. Hardy, and Jason Worth. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, among the returning guys, there were 3 guys that received more than 50% of the vote in 2022. Scott Rowland was at 63.2%. He could possibly get in. If you look at the whole ballot, he looks like the one guy that might actually get in this year. Todd Helton was at 52%. Billy Wagner was at 57%. Rowland is in his 6th year of eligibility. Helton is on his 5th. Wagner is on his 8th. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Curt Schilling are no longer eligible for the BBWAA ballot, but they appear on the contemporary era ballot. I mentioned that last week or the week before. Alex Rodriguez received 34.3% of the vote on his first ballot, which I was shocked about. I really was shocked. I thought it was going to be way lower than that because of how people react to steroids, even though they let David Ortiz in. Jeff Kent is on the ballot for his 10th and final time. He had 32.7% of the vote last season. Gary Sheffield is in his 9th year of eligibility, former Yankee Gary Sheffield. He got 40.6% of the vote in the last ballot. And of the remaining returning guys, Manny Ramirez, 28.9 last year. That's his 7th ballot. Or no, this will be his 7th ballot. Omar Vizquel, 6th ballot, 23.9%. Andy Pettitte, 10.7%, his 5th. Jimmy Rollins, 9.4%, his 2nd ballot. Bobby Abreu, 8.6%, 4th ballot. Mark Burley, 5.8%, his 3rd ballot. And Torrey Hunter, 5.3%, 3rd ballot. And guys fall off if they're less than 5%. So, out of all those guys, I really feel like Scott Rowland might be the only one. I don't know if K-Rod's going to... I don't know. Just because of some of the stuff that K-Rod went through during his last few years with off-the-field stuff, they might not put him... He's going to get in, I think. I would think he's going to get in. You know, Andy Pettitte, he's not going to get in. He's not going to get in. He was a solid pitcher. He pitched for a while. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like his playoff numbers should help him a little bit. Because I joke about this all the time, but Andy Pettitte's the one I saw the most. In those years that he was a Yankee, I saw him constantly. There were some playoff years where I just saw Andy Pettitte. He was the only guy I saw pitch. I went to 3 playoff games in 2003, all started and won by Andy Pettitte. Every game, too. Division Series, ALCS, World Series. He won. Yeah. And he won 2 games that I went to in 2009. And then all the regular season games that I went to. Amazing. Although I did go to the regular season game in 2012 when he first returned, when it was Casey Kochman, right, who hit the comebacker that broke his leg. That wasn't a fun Andy Pettitte game to be at. You know, so I have a soft spot for Andy Pettitte, but is he a Hall of Famer? No. No, but he's in the Hall of Fame of our hearts, and that's all that matters. But yeah, we'll see what happens with A-Rod. We'll see if his numbers go up at all. That'll be interesting to see, you know, if he ever makes it. If they think he's done enough penance, or if enough of the old guard retire and stop voting and more of the new guard vote, because some of the newer voters don't really care about steroids because they realize that so many guys were doing it. You can't really... There were too many guys doing it. There were pitchers doing it. And some of those guys, you have no idea that they did. And some of those guys are probably in the Hall of Fame. And some of those hitters are probably in the Hall of Fame. So we'll see what happens if he goes up from 34. And we'll see what happens with Jeff Kent. I mean, I don't know. I don't see him getting in. It might just be a Scott Rowland year, along with the contemporary era guys that they're going to bring in. So it's not like Scott Rowland's going to be by himself. They're going to have other guys getting into the Hall of Fame. But through this ballot, it might just be Scott Rowland. Rowland? That's not his name, and I know that, Scott Rowland. So tomorrow, we will do Giancarlo Stanton and Gleyber Torres. We will talk about their 2022, the disappointments, the high moments, and what to look forward to in the future. Gleyber, you know, some trade rumors going on with him. And before I go, Venezuelan baseball. Asdrubal Cabrera punched a guy as he was rounding the bases after a walk-off home run. And Gleyber Torres was not happy about it. Not happy about it. He posted something on Instagram basically calling out Cabrera for doing, like, he literally, the guy was between first and second and he just went boom. And if you're not watching me on YouTube, punched him right in the face. I think they were mad. It was his 3rd home run of the night. He was gloating toward the opposing dugout, the bat flip, this and that, but that's what they do. That's what players do. They celebrate walk-off home runs. Why are you punching people? That's worse. That's worse than celebrating a walk-off home run. And Gleyber basically said that in his Instagram post. He was like, this is how they show their joy, by running around the bases and being happy about hitting you're happy when you hit a home run, and especially when you're doing it to win a game. Like, I don't understand. So this is what Gleyber said. Note to the oldest in the league. The ball changed in many aspects. It is understood that you are the veterans. It is understood that you veterans played in a different era where perhaps those actions were not celebrated or supported. And in this era, it's of the youth. Baseball has changed, and you all keep damaging the moments over your unwritten rules from the old days. Learn and pass the page. Shame to see those cowardly acts for the league and for the children who want to see a good show in the stadium. It's time for them to act for the sake of the league. Yeah, the Venezuelan baseball. It's VBP. So, yeah, Gleyber was not happy. And, yeah, there's no room for you to... could you imagine someone doing that in Major League Baseball? It's bad enough that Rugi Odor punched Jose Bautista that one time after the bat flip game. I mean, it was like the next season that it happened, right? And he was sliding into second. But there's no reason for that in any kind of baseball league, no matter where you're playing. It's ridiculous. And Glaber's right for calling out Asdrubal Cabrera. So we'll talk about Glaber, we'll talk about Stanton, and anything else that comes up tomorrow, because you never know. I mean, it should be quiet. It's before Thanksgiving, and I don't think baseball teams will be making moves, but you never know. Something could happen. So that's it for this episode of Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Remember, you can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch and subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, hit the thumbs up button, comment on YouTube. Please let me know some of the questions I asked you about today, and click the bell notification so you know when our videos go live. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. One more thing, if you could be so kind, please rate the podcast and spread the word about this podcast to your fellow Yankee fans. We would really appreciate it. So, enjoy your Monday, and I will talk to you tomorrow.